What are we going to talk about? Let's talk about special guests at Coachella and the heavy hitters that are Madonna and Jennifer Lopez. All right, now these ladies going to Coachella is beyond wild in the best possible way. You know, Coachella sometimes has that shunned energy of like, okay, after a certain time, it's no longer party time, and I think that's a little bit crazy, you know. I do think it is, but I also get it too. I remember in my 30s, like 34, 35, it was like, I'm so over festivals. And it's like, who do you think you are, right? Well, for one, I will say I am Randomly Ronnie Jr. If you want to support, patreon.com/Randomly Ronnie Jr. Always talking, have been so since the world of radio, etc., etc. But back to J-Lo and Madonna and Coachella and music festivals for that matter. Listen, it is so easy to write things off and be like, oh, those are just, you know, you're too grown for that. Who's to say? And I keep referring to that because J-Lo, I was going to say Janet, J-Lo and Madonna both are not spring chickens. I've seen both of them in concert. You know, J-Lo had her big 50th birthday party concert tour. It was, you know, the 50th birthday tour. That was, you know, Madison Square Garden, New York City. I actually went twice because I went to the show that the lights went out and they actually had to pick it back up from Saturday to Monday. And I actually thought it was like part of the show when I was watching it in MSG because it felt like, oh, the lights went off. I thought Cardi B was going to come on stage, but I was like, no, you're actually getting escorted out of MSG because, you know, the blocks 42nd all the way to 34th or whatnot were all, you know, having a little bit of a blackout as far as the grid. And so, you know, J-Lo's concert, when it came to it on Monday, I would say that, you know, it was a whole weekend of J-Lo music, so that was really fun. When did I see Madonna? I saw Madonna at the, you know, her big tour celebrating the 40 years of all of her music. You know, she doesn't go back a lot, and this was the celebration tour. So good. That was at the Inglewood Forum. I guess they call it the Kia Forum now. Really good. So these ladies have been in the business for so long. Obviously, Madonna longer than Janet. I mean, J-Lo. Why am I mixing up Janet with J-Lo? Because I love Janet that much, right? So it's always a good time to talk about Janet. My favorite, actually. But talking about the cameo at Coachella, and is it thirsty or is it like a cool thing to kind of bring up that nostalgia? I think it is. David Guetta brings out J-Lo. It's a little quicker of a little moment. Sabrina Carpenter brings out Madonna. These are two separate weekends within the Coachella Festival, and I think they both did great. You know, I think they're both at times of their career where they're shifting a lot and doing different things, and albeit having new projects, new music, new films, etc., etc. I think J-Lo has somewhat of a rom-com, which she has not done a rom-com since I think the one that she did with Owen Wilson a couple years ago. So it's been quite a while, actually. I mean, and that's always fun because J-Lo, say what you say about her music or maybe her stern demeanor, which everyone seems to complain about, but I'm like, I don't know. She's a star and she works her butt off and she's got a better body than you do, you know, at this age, you know, her heavy age of over 50 something years old, over 55, I think it is, you know, tenacity, determination. She definitely has it all. And for her to continue to be so stern, sometimes maybe that doesn't rub people the right way. So I just don't know that I really buy into her being that rough and challenging to work with. So I think I'm, on this case, sort of defending the other side of it. Like, you know, if you want to be a winner, you got to roll with the winners. You know, you gotta be at that level. And I think maybe she demands that, you know. In my mind, in my opinion of opinions, if Jennifer Lopez ever met me, she'd be like, no, I like him. I like Randomly Ronnie. And in fact, I will go support Randomly Ronnie Jr.'s Patreon account because that helps pay the bills, right? But that's just my thoughts. But overall, I'm just trying to tie in the fact that these two performers, both Madonna being a special guest for Sabrina Carpenter and J-Lo, a special guest for David Guetta, I think it's fun. And again, I think that my mindset very much has this, oh, we're supposed to, at this age in our life, we're supposed to be more mature and doing different things. Like, you can do that too, but who's to say on a weekend you can't go and have a ton of fun? I think that's the good duality, to be very efficient, work hard, do all the right things, but like, let your hair down and have fun also. And these two women, Madonna and Jennifer Lopez, I mean, they are both aging so well. It is not an easy run at it in general, but being sort of under the microscope and being picked apart by everything they do. Specifically Madonna. Madonna has definitely done some stuff over the years, in her 65 plus years, that do sort of, is she feeling okay, even mentally? But you can't have both. You can't have somebody who's so ferociously, tenacious and did all the things that Madonna did back in the day, and then also have that same person live timidly. And so I think the thing that we love about these artists and them taking it by the, just really grabbing at life, is that they go for it, and it's so easy to be the, sideline commentator and talk about, who's in the big game. And these ladies are still in the big game. They fight for it. Madonna, of course, she's got some new music, the dance music is not stopping. No. She, of course, has the Netflix, situation coming. That's going to be really interesting. So to do a career for a long time is very hard. And to have career reinvention is also very, very hard. And to just have a fun moment, I think is great. And I think that's why I say I liked seeing, I didn't see it live, obviously. Flipping on the old YouTube is good for me. At my bulk age of over 30, over 35, over 40, it's moving quickly. But, for me to put on the YouTube and enjoy it, and say, look at this. This is what it's about. No hater bone in my body when it comes to, oh, look at it's I've sort of aged out of the culture to go to a Coachella. Been to thousands and thousands of concerts. Working in radio all those years. But even though I've aged out of this particular thing, why would I have any like frustrations over the next crop of concert goers having their best time? Like, why would it? Seems funny to be that way. So I'm not that way. So when I see Coachella, and there's always a question of, is it as big as it used to be, or is it falling off? Is a Stagecoach as big as it used to be? Is it falling off? Is Bonnaroo as big as it used to be? Is it falling off? Like, all of these things, like, it's just things come and go. They've got peaks and valleys, but the most important thing is when you see people enjoying themselves, having a moment, like, I don't know, it feels really tacky and corny to judge that heavily. And then when you got these gals coming on stage who have given everything for their artistry to make people the thing about being an artist, I think there's so many ways to look at it, but the one thing that is interesting is an artist is to make and bring joy. There must have been a song that I heard recently that was like an old song of Madonna's that came out. I think it was like flipping through the radio, and it happened to come on, but I had not heard it in so long, and it made me think of another song. So I go find that, listen to that, and then flooded with all these thoughts and memories from a specific time. And that's what this stuff does. That's what this music does. It's uplifting in ways, there's a reason, like, you feel like a party goer, a concert goer, because you are trying to let loose and go have some fun. And these two ladies, I think, are fun. I can't put them one against another. Like, who was the best? Like, Jennifer Lopez versus Madonna. Who was the best cameo at Coachella? Who was the best special guest? Did David Guetta get it right? Or did Sabrina Carpenter get it right? I think they all did. You gotta make these shows fun at a simplistic form sometimes. You don't need the big lighting and stages and all that. You don't need all that sometimes. You just need to bring the fun. And I think Janet, I keep saying Janet, I really want to see a Janet concert. I think Jennifer Lopez and I think Madonna brought it. I think Sabrina and Madonna probably nailed it a little bit more because they were very synchronized. in the way of Sabrina and what she brings to the table of the current. And there was a handing of the baton, just the same way that used to be for Madonna with a Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, that era. It's the same thing. It felt, more updated and more modern. Whereas with J-Lo was just more like hit the stage, have fun. Like the music is the music. David Guetta, of course, not like, on the microphone, so to speak. That's not exactly what he does, but still bringing tons of joy. So, it is so often that we see that it's always a this or that, and who shined more. Why can't they both? Like, when we think about talent, when we think about fortitude, we think about tenacity and ambition, like it is really cool to see both of these seasoned performers say, yeah, I'm going to go do the Coachella stage. Now, sometimes, and this is me loving Janet, J-Lo. I'm a big Jennifer Lopez fan. I've always been, and there's a tie-in too. Jennifer Lopez was in the music video from Janet. That's the way love goes. So maybe that's why my mind is tying them together. But the thing is, Jennifer Lopez, as I say, these gals, they don't care. They're going to keep pushing and pursuing their dreams forever. But to Jennifer Lopez, sometimes to a detriment. She's the type that doesn't say no to anything. And sometimes you could say no to something. But for me, I don't know that I buy into, like I said, all of the she was mean or hard to work with, or I waited on a table once and she didn't, grovel back at me. It's like, it's just too much sometimes, but I can say that the one risky thing about being so successful as Jennifer Lopez is that you don't have to say yes to everything. I know there was a time where she did the Motown tribute. You could love Motown, grow up on Motown, but maybe you're not the right person to take on that particular gig, and you can decline and have someone else do it. The thing about her, she does still try. Like, one thing you knew Jennifer Lopez was tenacious is when she did the Super Bowl with Shakira. Now, worldwide, Shakira is something. And that darn Jennifer Lopez said, well, not said, but like the way they arranged it was Shakira was going to go and open up, so to speak. They were dual headliners, but go first. And Jennifer Lopez was going to go after her. Now, if it was me, I probably would have got nervous. I would have said, we look at the numbers. We know, like, obviously J-Lo in the States is really, really something. But Shakira, like, across the globe is, look at those numbers. And whoever, Benny Medina, Jennifer Lopez's manager, whoever said, no, J-Lo will close this part of the Super Bowl halftime. And she got on that, she went up, she did the song, Waiting for Tonight, and all the lights are flashing, and she climbed up the pole because she was recently off the Hustlers movie, which she thought was going to get a big nomination, and it didn't. But that's like maybe the tie-in to that. And she's up there twirling. And I'm like, wow, she is not nervous about nothing. Like, she is not nervous. I was watching an interview recently about Jennifer Lopez, and somebody in the interview was saying something like, oh, what about, athleticism, and she's like, I remember hearing she had done track and, she was going to be a paralegal if she didn't pursue this career of show business. So I've always kind of knew these things, but the interviewer goes, what is it that you were great in with athletics? And she said, like, the track and field and all that. I don't know, track and field, cross country, doesn't matter, but it was something of that vein. And then the interviewer, like a clear setup, says like, oh, so how in it were you? Like, how passionate about this were you? Like, how much did you feel like you were really good at this? How were you able to tell that you were good? And she goes, well, there was some talks about like, an Olympic future. Like, damn it, J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez, I wish I could just be so confident like that anything we talk about, you only see yourself as I can do it all. what in the Jennifer Lopez is going on? I mean, but this is who she is. She gets asked, hey, will you do the Motown tribute? She's like, I'll do it. You're like, oh, Jennifer, I like Jennifer Lopez. I like her more than a lot of people. But, I mean, the voice might not be up to Motown par. And the same way, this is who she is. There is no Shakira, global sensation. I could see in the meeting, Benny Medina, J-Lo. Yeah, Shakira, why don't you go on first, and then we'll sort of bring it home. Like, the gall and the nerve in a good way that Jennifer Lopez has is incredible. And that's what Madonna is as well. And I think that if you were to do this and compare the two, they're both very similar with that nerve. They've got the audacity to say, I want it and I want it all, and why shouldn't I have it? And that's something on our toughest days, our most frustrated days, our things aren't going right days, to clock into that, to lock into it, to really assess and move into that direction of like, why can't I want to achieve things? I think the more you put focus on wanting to achieve things, you're, and by the way, I'm all for big complaints. I don't mind, complain all you want. I love a complaint is always, sometimes there's reasons to complain. But you take off that energy of things that you don't like when you put in the energy for things that you do like. And, Madonna, fresh into New York City by way of Michigan, with $35 in her pocket, as she always says, to be a dancer and just like push through and create a career that she has, and then not even to have the no shy or embarrassing moments where she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm too old to do Coachella. I mean, let it be Madonna. She'll do a whole night. Like, this is the Madonna night, they think so highly of themselves in a good way. Madonna, Jennifer Lopez, they think highly of themselves in a good way. And I know that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, because it's like, who do they think they are? However, if it's in the purity of the artistry and it's just about bringing people joy, you got to admit, a lot of people, day to day, somebody working at the Piggly Wiggly grocery store, confidence and believing in self does not come easy. And these two women happen to have it really, really large and vastly. And I like that. So who was the biggest? J-Lo or Madonna, the biggest special guest cameo for Stagecoach, for Coachella? I think it's both of them. I really think it's both of them. But who's to tell? Who's to tell? It was both really smart. David Guetta really smart, working that into his set. Same with Sabrina Carpenter. And Sabrina Carpenter, I have not always followed her music so much, but you could always just see that it factor and that special connection when you are side by side with somebody of the stature of Madonna, and you seamlessly blend in so well to that. I mean, it's obviously Sabrina Carpenter, it's her set, and Madonna's just the guest, but there's a way that could be an overshined and an overshadowing moment in other ways. And this time it was not, because it was a very synchronized. Sabrina Carpenter is of today, Madonna is of back in the day and still around. It'll be interesting. Aging and getting older is hard across the board. Doing it in sort of the limelight of physicality, what you look like, your endurance, and then the work that you put out, it's all challenging. So again, kudos to both Madonna and Jennifer Lopez at the Coachella Music Festival for being outstanding with the cameo as special guests for the two respective artists. Does make me want to go to see a show, actually. It really does make me want to go see a show. Music and shows have always been so fun. And you know what? Maybe it's that era of wanting to go see small, intimate concerts of artists that you really like, or big arena tours or festivals. I think, even like going to like a fine restaurant and listening to jazz music, I feel like there's just an insatiable urge for that right now. You know, something raw and even more grainy, like, you know, like even a country western kind of, you know, style. You know, if you're in a certain neighborhood that like kind of feels that way, a town, you know, like I just think music of all sorts, big orchestras. I don't know. I'm really connected to the artistry of musicianship in every facet. You know, like I say, dance music as much as I say like classical music. Like it's all really cool, and I think that your brain should sort of vibe out. But right now we're talking about, you know, the pop superstars like Jennifer and like Madonna. I don't know. What did you think of them at Coachella as the special guest? That is the question. Who knows what the answer is? Okay, gotta go.